Assalamu alaikum and peace. Welcome back to another MABIA Muslim and Black in America. I'm your host, Bilal Abdullah, coming back at you in another week. Don't forget to hit that like. Definitely need to hit the likes up so we can get it up in the search engine so people can, pop it up in their suggestion on the side. Definitely hit that like if you support the channel. Definitely share it. Definitely leave a comment as well. The comments are great. I thank you for the likes. Thank you for sharing it, all that good stuff. But let's get into this. O you who have believed, why do you say what you do not do? Great is hatred in the sight of Allah that you say what you do not do. Surely Allah loves those who fight in his cause in a row as though they are a single structure joined firmly. This is Surah 61 verses 2 through 4. Ibn Abbas said about the last verse 4 of this, where it says they are like a firm structure. They are like where Allah says, surely Allah loves those who fight in his cause in a row as though they are a single structure joined firmly. Ibn Abbas said about this verse, they are like a firm structure that does not move because its parts are cemented to each other. And the second verse, verse 2, in the tafsir of Ibn Kathir, this verse was revealed about fighting. Some of the believers during that time wanted to know what are some of the actions that are most loved by Allah, and fighting was revealed as one of them. But on the day of Uhud, many of them fled and left the Prophet behind. So Allah revealed, O you who have believed, why do you say what you do not do? Now the reason I'm saying this is because we see what's going on. I spoke last time about Jay Morrison butting his head into the conversation on reparations. Even Boyce Watkins has his 2 cents. T.I., Tip, telling informant, also saying that calling for reparations is putting the cart before the horse. We got Killer Mike riding for Bernie Sanders, who already said he doesn't want to give reparation and plays dumb about it. But he isn't dumb when it comes to reparations for his people. And in essence, folks like them claim, those who claim to want reparations but either really don't, or they don't believe we will get them, or they believe we shouldn't have them, or some other side belief which doesn't make sense. Now, I've been doing some reflecting, and I have come to the realization, under a system of white supremacy, I have to say that I understand that I am black first, and my guidance as a black man is Islam. This is the religion and guidance I chose for my life as a black man in America. So the Quran offers the blueprint for empowerment, so does the Sunnah. These verses that I just read, along with some explanation, is one of the things we as black people need to use for our empowerment. We are fighting for reparations. Thanks to many of the great minds and voices of the black media and of the grassroots movement for reparations, we have a firm direction now for this reparations. And because we have a firm direction and laser focus, this has caused us to get on code even more. These verses tell me that the code and our focus must be as one solid structure. That's how tight it has to be, like a brick wall cemented together. Not only can the elements from the outside not get in, but what is inside that structure can't get out unless it's allowed to. You know how when you was a kid and you had your AC on, and your pops would say, hey, quit all that damn running in and out. You letting all the cold air outside. This is how we have to be, y'all. We don't have time for the games, for the shenanigans. We have to be one solid structure. The code must be solid, only letting in who and what we want in, and only letting out who and or what we want out. And it has to be without emotion, and it just has to be strictly business. If you off code like Jay Morrison, you don't get to get inside this structure. Stay your butt outside. Now, if you want to talk to us through the window about how to work in real estate, we'll listen and use what we can. But as for you stepping inside our structure, no. because you are way off code. And when you are off code, you are cut off until you get back on code. That's the rule. Now, from our structure, we may send out people to talk to you, to get your mind right and to educate you. But you can't step in here until you say, I was incorrect, I was off code, I apologize, and then explain the proper knowledge that you have learned and how you have submitted to it. And then we will let you inside, but with a guarded eye, because you was already slipping, so we got to watch you until further notice. Killer Mike, you want to work with Bernie and call for us to vote for Bernie when you know he not down for reparations, but you saying you're for our people. Hypocrites always talk the loudest, and they are very boisterous to throw you off. But like the verses I said, why do you say what you do not do? You say you for us, but you riding with somebody against us. You're not saying what you do. Allah loves those when you fight as a solid structure. How you being solid with us, riding and telling us to vote for someone who's not going to give us any tangibles? You are off code. I could kind of see if Bernie was saying, okay, I want to allocate this specific amount of money or benefits to specifically Black Americans. Now that may not be reparations, but okay, at least he would be actually trying to offer us something specifically. He's not even doing that. You are off code. You are not holding this structure together and holding it down. You are off doing your own thing, but still wanting to step into our structure. No, you stay your butt outside with Bernie and you tell us how that works out. You don't get to speak on nothing we doing till you change that. And if you do speak on it, we not hearing none of it unless you saying what we saying. It ain't time for different opinions. Only exception is if your opinion is truly informed, sincere, and is on code. If your opinion is in Cobra and going to a world court, if your opinion is vote for Bernie, then we don't have time for that and we're not listening to that. One solid structure means one solid main opinion and how to go about it. So no, if everyone else don't want to say it because they don't want to step on people's toes, I'ma say it because I'm not worried about your shaming tactics. Allah told me in Surah 5 verse 54, O you who have believed, whoever of you should revert from his religion, Allah will bring forth in place of them a people who he will love and who will love him, who are humble toward the believers, powerful against the disbelievers. They strive in the cause of Allah and do not fear the blame of a critic. That is the favor of Allah. He bestows it upon whom he wills, and Allah is all encompassing and knowing. So I'm not worried about the blame of the blamers. We don't need you. You want to play both sides. Allah will bring forth people who will be on code and will be humble towards those who have the knowledge, those who are firm against the outsiders and those off code as well. This rule of not coming into the structure applies to everyone who is Black and off code. Even if you not Black, if you not saying what we saying, this rule applies to you. If you saying we never going to get reparations, nope, you can't come in. If you out here being divisive or saying, well, hey, everybody got a right to their uninformed off-code opinion, or calling us haters and trying to use that to shame us, or using that, but we all Black, come on, man, we all Black. Nope, we not hearing that. Stay your butt outside. My evidence for saying this is the Quran and Sunnah. When the Prophet announced the battle of Tabuk, the people began to get ready and prepare. It was going to be a hard, long journey, so they began to prepare early. There were 3 companions who lagged behind, though. One was Ka'b bin Malik. If you read the Tafsir Ibn Kathir of Surah 9, verse 118, you will see the story I'm about to basically paraphrase. Basically, Ka'b bin Malik kept wasting time. It wasn't because he was scared. It wasn't because he didn't believe in Allah and his messenger. He was just being lazy and procrastinating. And he tried to prepare in the last minute and still ended up not going out to meet up with the caravan and army that were already days ahead. So when the prophet returned, Ka'b bin Malik was concerned and apprehensive. But instead of lie like the hypocrites did, he came and told the prophet the truth along with the others, that he lagged behind simply out of procrastination and laziness. There's another lesson in this for us as well, real quick. That is, if you're not going to ride out with us, then at least just stay silent and support. But anyway, so the prophet said to him, surely this man has spoken the truth, so get up until Allah decides your case. When he got up, many men of the Banu Salima tribe followed him and talked down to him, saying basically, wow, we never even seen you do sins like that. You could went back to the prophet and offered an excuse for your sin, and then asked the messenger of Allah to ask Allah to forgive you, and that would have been sufficient. Why didn't you do that? You know, they was basically on his head so hard that he wanted to turn back around and go lie to the prophet and make an excuse. There's another lesson here. You see how Ka'b bin Malik was off code. Everybody was going out to fight and he lagging behind, wasting time, and he had no excuse for it. So they got on his head about it. This is what we must do to those who go off code. They must be reprimanded until they can't take it, and constantly called out every time they open up their mouth until they get back on code. But continuing, Ka'b bin Malik was like, is there anyone else who didn't make an excuse and say the truth like I did? And they told him yes. One of them was Murara bin Arabi, and the other was Hilal bin Umayyah al-Waqifi. So, to make a long story long, Ka'b bin Malik tells what ruling came upon them. After they, told the truth and said they were being lazy and procrastinating, Allah sent down a ruling to the prophet, and Allah's messenger forbade all the Muslims from talking to them. All three of them, out of all those who remained behind for that battle. So, they said, Ka'b said, we kept away from the people, and they changed their attitude towards us until the very land where I lived appeared strange to me, as if I did not know it. We remained in that condition for 50 nights. As for my two companions, they remained in their homes and kept on weeping. But I was the youngest and the firmest of them. So I would go out and attend the prayer along with the Muslims and roam the markets, but none would talk to me. I would come to Allah's messenger, peace be upon him, and greet him while he was sitting in his gathering after the prayer, and I would wonder whether he even moved his lips in return of my greeting or not. This is a lesson we must take when you have people who claim to be for us, but go off code. First, there is correction. If they refuse correction and still want to be off code, then there should be excommunication, all the while reprimanding them every time they open their mouth to say something. They're not allowed in our structure. Now, how harsh we are with this depends on how bad their off-codeness was. But if they publicly say they were wrong and get back on code, we can accept them back. But that also depends on how far they went off code. If they go full bed bug, bed wench, butter biscuit wanting mode, I don't know if the community would trust them enough. Now, when these people are excommunicated for their off-code actions, we wait and see. We wait and see what they do to prove themselves. As we continue the story of Ka'b bin Malik and the other two companions, Ka'b bin Malik was so distraught and sad that he would constantly cry and beg for Allah's forgiveness. And one day he received a letter from a governor who ruled Syria for Caesar. And the letter basically said, I've heard how Muhammad and his people have been treating you harshly. Why not come join our side? We'll treat you better. See, this is where Allah would test those who are off code. When you cut them off, those white supremacists and their minions will come and say, hey, come join our team, man. They're treating you bad over there. Aren't they supposed to be black like you? Why are they pushing you away? Come join us. Now, if they join them, then you know what it is. But if they refuse, then that is a good sign. And this is what Ka'b bin Malik did. He refused and he burnt up the letter. That was during around the 40-day mark of his excommunication. Then the orders came that he had to stop going to bed with his wife and not even mingle with her. This went on for another 10 nights until finally Allah revealed to the messenger that he had forgiven Ka'b and Malik and the other two companions. And they were welcomed back into the community with open arms and love. So all of this should be a lesson of how strict our structure of code should be. If we are serious about black empowerment and serious about getting reparations, then we must be strictly disciplined as these people are. Power not only includes who it wants, power also excludes who it wants. And a person just being black is not good enough. The code is the leader. The code is the determining factor. And see, this is why I think Killer Mike and Jay Morrison came in. They are agents in a sense. Maybe not directly, but indirectly. They coming in and testing the waters. One is testing for the global blacks, and one is testing for the ADOS foundational blacks. Jay came in talking about going to the world court and getting a nationality for all blacks over the world and for all of blacks over the world to get reparations. He wasn't specific to just black Americans. This is where he was incorrect. We are in America, so we go to the American government for our reparations. Others in their respective territories should be going to their respective governments. But he came like to test that. Let's see if I can switch them back into not being on code about just themselves and, circling their wagons for just themselves. He was sent to disturb that and see who he could make falter and fall off and get them back on that Pan-African bandwagon. But he saw that the structure is quite firm, and he saw that he got rocks thrown at him. So now you see him backtracking. And you see boys still trying to cause division, by instigating beef. Then you got Killer Mike and T.I. and black celebs like that who are being sent in to see if they can sway us to get on the voting Democrat bandwagon by talking black and talking real loud, but telling us to vote even though we won't get any tangibles. This is still an area where black folk are scared to speak out and throw them rocks and close off the structure. Because they are off code themselves and need to be called out. But both sides are seeing that, the structure isn't falling for it. So then in desperation, just the other day, they send in Vlad, Caucasian immigrant ass, to try to poke his nose in our structure and put his 2 cents in. Dude gonna say, I'm with reparations for African Americans, possibly in the form of free college education. Boy, how in the world does an immigrant who ain't even ADOS or even black get to come stick his nose in our business? I mean, shoot. We're looking at the whole Tekashi debacle with him snitching on the whole gang and how he even got in a gang. We see why Vlad would think a white person can come into our structure and give his 2 cents. But, rightfully he was checked, and I'm glad to see that. We all know the trick bag of that. And, that's good that we are being on point about this. But also, what I see happening now is that they're looking for a specific leader of the grassroots movement to target. They used to ignore the voices of black media, but now you have Jay Morrison coming in and saying, let's have a plebiscite to see who wins. This is basically to narrow down a specific group and to, point out a specific leader. Then if you go to Jason Black's Twitter page, he posted a tweet from an article that basically outright is quoting him now, instead of just sending subliminals. So they are trying to narrow down a leader. But like I said, the leader is the code, not a specific person. This is all culminating into finding people to put the BIE, Black Identity Extremist designation on, so as to target black people under the guise of security. This is why this Amber Geiger case is so important. If she is not convicted, this will set another precedent for the police to now be able to come into your home and kill you and get away with it with the flimsiest of excuses. And you see that the DA did an interview even though they were under a gag order. This was done purposely, in my opinion, so that if she is convicted, she can get to, get a do-over and move the trial to where her white supremacist buddies are and get off. Basically, get a second chance. And I'm afraid this may happen, but I'm making dua that it doesn't. And this whole killing seems to be an initiation ritual for like a white supremacist clique within law enforcement out there. Because her ex-lover, who was married, by the way, killed a black man before. And now we see she has done it too. And she's supposed to be a part of some special police unit out there. And if you research the police in Dallas, you will see how they have major racist tendencies, and many things have gone down with them in regards to that. So this isn't a far stretch. And like I said, white supremacy is Satanism. And basically they are sacrificing to their God. This is what this is about. If she isn't convicted or gets off on the second chance, there may be a riot out there because the black community would be extremely enraged. In closing, I want to repeat that we must keep our structure firm from outsiders and those who are not on code, and even clean house from those who are already inside but may step out of bounds as well. Also, if you look in China with what they are doing to the Muslims there, this is what they want to do to us here. Let's not forget to keep the Muslims in our dua as well, while we focus on ourselves and circle our wagons here. This whole, there's a lot of distractions going on as well, and that's to loosen our structure by turning our attention elsewhere. This whole impeach Trump stuff, this Amber Geiger case, these off-code folks talking nonsense, the Tekashi bull crap. And recently a cop just got killed out of NY in New York. So if the person who killed him was black, then that would be another distraction that will also, be used to add more fuel to the black identity extremist propaganda. So may Allah protect us and guide you all and empower us and give us victory over white supremacy. And with that, I'm out. Peace. Don't forget to hit the like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share and all that good stuff. Assalamu alaikum and peace.